Well met, lords and ladies. Jacob Butter speaking, and welcome back to another episode of... Today is a particularly special entry in Gacha review, mainly because it seems like for some reason it's not letting me download it. Don't know why. But we'll see. This one is we're back to many Mr. and Mrs. Dysart. And it has been some time, but it's a welcome thing because this time it seems like we're back. We mean business. By which I just mean because Aidan has clarified that this is one of his seemingly favorites that he's actually done. So that's probably a fairly good sign. It seems he's pretty proud of the series already. So that's some reigning endorsement right there. And I could get into the other thing, but I wanted that to be the introduction into the people. So before I actually manage to fix this, because I'm distracted trying to do my intro. Let's welcome in today's guests. We have KW.
Yo, KW is here, back in town. Wait, I'm already in town. But you know what I mean? I'm here.
All right then. Okay, and we also have Emily.
Hi. I don't have a hype intro like that, so hi.
Now we are starting quite late because we've been recording a song for quite some time. The four of us. Well, I say the four of us because, of course, we have another person here, the creator of the video, our usual guest, now with 1,000 YouTube subscribers, Aidan the Best.
Hello, and it's exactly 1,000. So before I properly celebrate, I want to get that number up like by at least 3 to 5. That's
fair. I haven't celebrated in
Yeah. Also, check your DM, Jacob. I sent you the video file.
Oh, okay. Fair enough then.
Thank you. I
don't know why I don't know why it didn't go through Google Drive in the proper way. Well, I say your Google Drive apparently is fine. My Google Drive seems to be having an issue.
Yeah.
Don't quite know why.
So yeah, and also it's one of my favorite episodes of Mrs. Dysart show so far. Highlighting this.
Fair enough.
I mean,
it's still processing.
Yeah, I don't know which I would say is my favorite. I mean, there's like this episode. Also, episode 4 is a strong contender, but especially episode 2 is also a strong contender to me. Just because those stories are probably some of the stronger stories out of the show so far. Probably the weakest story of the whole show so far would be episode 1, purely because they didn't really have much in way of character development or character focus, because the whole point of the first episode was establishing a majority of the characters in the setting and stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know
the dynamics down, but that was
yeah, which is good for a first episode, but I didn't really have much time to go any deeper than the very surface level of everything. So so it's like one of those things where it's like that makes it.
You say you didn't have much time. You were the person who was in control of the duration of the video. So
to be fair, even if I did make it much longer, what would I make? Extend the class scene by a few minutes? I mean, that'd be mostly as I start talking. I don't know. Depends. But
yeah, those are a couple of options for sure.
Depends. But episode 2 and episode 4 are very strong contenders. Episode 3 is also fairly strong, but I would say it's, I don't know. Right. There are a lot of decent episodes. So
they're just all out on like equal level with each other.
Hello.
Ah yes, hello Ghost Kitty. Just gonna pull a vid and announce that I'm sneaking in here.
Coolio.
How are you doing, Ghost Kitty?
Himself.
The Mrs. Dysart show probably won't have an episode for like another month or something, knowing my luck.
I will also, by the way, apologize. My throat kind of hurts after doing a lot of singing.
That's my throat also hurts for different reasons because I wasn't singing, I was directing. But before that, I was recording Secrets of the Plex lines, some of which featured me screaming my lungs out, and they may or may not end up being usable because I might have peaked the microphone too much. I'm gonna have to investigate into that later.
I mean,
know.
even if they're not
My
useful, I mean, if Bond's okay, but you could just depending on if Bond like will want to wait a few days, wait a few days to recover your voice.
Yeah, what I'm probably going to do is like I have to trim them first because the files are too big to send on Discord. But I have to trim them first, then I'll send those in, and then I might like star the ones that I think have like peaked or something, so I can like redo those later if Bond needs me to. Because yeah, that's probably the best solution. Apart from that, I should have had some water. Well, to all of you, congratulations for hitting 1,000 subscribers, Aidan. There you go.
Yeah!
Thanks. Also, Jacob, you should have some tea and honey and tea later.
But yeah, use this honey and lemon. Yeah, but
Honey and lemon, honey tea. What you know that thing.
I
Do
don't
your
like honey.
voice recover strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100% a good idea.
I would definitely do honey and tea, but the problem is I do not like honey.
There we go. Here it is.
The texture is just like, oh, my throat was also hurting today. I'm concerned, but I guess saying the third time's the charm.
What? I mean, third person, I guess, in this case, but all right, fair enough. Okay, well, speaking of problem, it seems that things have worked out. So now we're gonna into the main event right here. The video that got Aidan to 1K. Episode 5. Without further ado,
shorts based off this episode technically also kind of helped to promote it and stuff. So you know, I made like 2 or 3 shorts for this video.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, fair enough. All right then.
Also made a random meme that's not related to Mrs. Dysart show at all, but
yeah, I didn't know if you actually posted those because you sent that to us, but I didn't know when you were going to post that one exactly.
It's coming out. I think it's like Wednesday. It's either coming out Tuesday. No, it's coming out Tuesday. Pretty sure.
Oh, still it's not out yet, so that's not the one that got you there. Then that doesn't count.
No, it hasn't. But you know, I'm just saying, like that is something to look out for. If you want a funny meme related to Harvey, check it out on Tuesday. Ooh.
Yeah, I wonder if the person who was watching our stream yesterday and said to us like, wouldn't it be interesting if you guys made a Gacha show?
Wouldn't it be? Yeah, guys. Wouldn't it be interesting if we made Gacha? Oh my god, that'd be so crazy. Like an alternate world where we made Gacha. Crazy. Too bad it's not reality. I guess apparently.
Of course not. Anyway, back to a video that Aidan has made and that I co-wrote.
Yes.
And with the vocals from KW. It was all connected. All right. Anyway.
Oh god, I forgot.
Hello.
Remember the beginning.
I like your singing. It's good.
It's not just me or Ben. Yeah, with Sims sweating silly. So life is more fulfilling. There's always more to gain and more knowledge to attain. It takes
That's a lie! That's a lie!
Together to perspective.
This is just a pure editing thing I have to do for an intro. I have to eventually edit that to put in Prism because Prism is now the official new VA of Mrs. Dysart. She doesn't debut in this episode. This is still Nova was the backup, and I had Nova record episode 4 and 5. Meaning Nova is still in here, so he's the voice of Miss Dysart in this episode. But starting with episode 6 onwards, the main VA is Prism, backup VA is Nova.
Fair enough. Prism just returned to YouTube herself, so you know that's makes
so
sense to me.
In general, so yeah. So.
I just can't do her voice anymore. Like I tried to do.
I mean, honestly, you're one of the best Mrs. Dysart. Like those, the initial VA leaving.
Yeah, I forget how many that we've had since that happened, but yeah, it's been quite a few, and
we've had quite a few.
You do rank up
there. Yeah, but like also this series, since Mrs. Dysart speaks so much in it, versus in the Mutant Girl where she was barely needed. She was like in a handful of episodes each season.
Yeah, if she was like barely in it or something like that, then I would have been fine. But like
main protagonist.
Yeah, it's like
main protagonist.
Yeah, this has gone so well in the past. This is like the Joey of the Butterverse.
Don't worry, it will have more episodes than the Joey.
I don't know how many episodes the Joey had actually. So
Well,
I've
maybe I don't know.
I don't know what the Joey is.
well, Joey
spin-off
is the
Friends.
spin-off of Friends that's starring Joey from Friends.
and only lasted a single season.
Yeah.
Which, granted, this show may or may not last a single season, but that being said, the season would be like 20 plus episodes. So, be longer than our average Fallen Angel season or longer than a Mutant Girl season. So, technically, it's like one of those things where it's like, it'd be longer just by episode count.
Mm-hmm. Josh got the Joey thing, apparently. I was actually thinking of doing Mythical for Gacha Vision, only I don't know whether to do the one I used for OSC 10 or the theme with KW and Jacob. Well, it could be good for a group performance, because the thing is, I know I submitted a couple of songs, which, by the way, they've not featured yet. I submitted a couple of songs for Gacha Vision. I intentionally didn't do Wings, because I thought that would be good to use, like, Aidan's version for that.
Wings.
Because, again, so it's not all the same person singing, because, like, that was a thing with... Because most of the entries from beforehand were all Eli, so I thought, like, okay, I'll, like, leave some variety here. So, yeah, the one with me and KW would make the most sense, I think, for that one.
Yeah, it was just cringy.
KW, I think you did a great job with Mythical. You need confidence.
It's not good enough. I appreciate.
That was one of my musical notes in the direction.
I appreciate the enthusiasm, but yeah.
Don't worry. One day at the Mrs. Dysart show, I'm gonna get Emily to sing a song.
It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not good with pop and preppy songs. I'm sorry.
Well, based off what you were singing earlier, it seems you're also not too great at singing folksy songs. What would you call?
I think she's better at singing folksy songs, actually. But I'm
Slightly
going to ask what again, because I wasn't there for some of it. Because
she did struggle on some lines and some words.
But the reason why I was okay doing the Quest of the Rising Sun song is because it's not like pep or preppy or anything like that. It isn't like a pop song. It's more of there's some bagpipes here, drums, and like a flute or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, hey, with Jacob learning how to make instrumentals with that website, like in the future, maybe I could make a song, have him make a song that's super cool like that. I don't know. Look at words.
I am not going back to my old stuff. I tried to make a FNAF musical. Jacob has that, and you can see how.
Well, if you want to make it voice acted, just call Felix. Call me. Well, don't call Felix. Call Felix. Yeah, Felix is actually a sentient person now. Felix is now. I developed the second personality, Felix. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my goodness.
No,
he's method acting now.
Oh my god! Wait a minute. Idea. You have a male teacher, but I give him the Mrs. Dysart treatment, where I have him elongate all his words. Hello, class.
Musical.
Today I will be.
I already working on 2 series. One that's not voice acted, and the other one is probably most likely voice acted.
Hold on. This was a FNAF musical a second ago. Why is there a teacher involved? Is there it was a field trip. It was a field trip with the missing children thing.
Oh my!
There you go. Connection. Boom. Sorted. Okay then.
Well, Ghost Girl was talking about not Ghost Girl. Ghost Kid was talking about Ghost Girl in this case. But I mean, if you want to make the teacher male,
that's what you were saying.
And you want my voice roles, and you want for me having a voice actor, me be a voice actor. I can make his voice like the male version of Mrs. Dysart, which is something I've always kind of wanted to do.
Well, I mean, we did say back in the day when we reviewed Ghost Girl that if you ever wanted other people to voice the characters, especially because I was a character in that one, physical me, then we would be up for that. So
yeah, if Felix is still involved in the Ghost Girl story, I'll voice him. I'll voice any character. All you have to do is message me. You have my Discord, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Ender Ash is the voice Atari, and I think she did she did the key. She did that one key flashback key running animation when she was running after almost when being threatened by her commander in the flashback. Yeah.
All right then. Okay, back to the song.
Great collective.
Come on.
I can do this person. Come on. Yeah. That's it. That's the only thing I can do good in this song. Doing like, ha, come on, let's go, let's party. Yeah, it's mythical, you know.
Let's party, guys. Mrs. Dysart appears in a FNAF thing. She's
Oh
actually
my
the party
God,
announcer. Let's party, everybody! Woohoo!
We already have drunk Helen saying "Let's party." That's
Yeah, but that wasn't meant to be a FNAF reference. It'd be funny if we turned it into a FNAF reference.
Yeah, but one thing else, I've got a story to tell about this song now. Actually, like before, because some people did actually point out that the part that I'm doing in the background of the chorus, it does sound a lot like a part of "Cake by the Ocean," which that was the inspiration for that particular melody.
Oh, not the themes though, because God, not the theme of "Cake by the Ocean."
Well, no, it was
that'd be horrifying for this theme song.
Oh my God! Aidan,
no, it was the part that goes like, "Get down with the masterpiece, get down with the masterpiece."
Come on,
you should be rolling with me. You should be rolling me. That part, that was the part that inspired the "We form so masterfully, we form so masterfully." It's always strive to be. It's always strive to be. It's not the same, but it is like the same. It is like melodically. There's like a few comparisons. I changed some of the notes around. I do it with a lot of songs actually, because parody artist at heart. But yeah, the reason I bring that up is because recently in the quiz that we do sometimes, like the monthly pub quiz I do with my family, there was actually a question about the music round was all about like different. We had to name the food and drink in the title of certain songs, and immediately to myself I thought, okay, "Cake by the Ocean" is going to be one of the questions, and then when I actually heard like it was like immediate but a lot of them was like much more of sort of like of previous decades, because most of people playing the quiz are like way older, but they have a couple of questions for what they call the youngsters. So as soon as I heard like dun 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 dun, I was like, yes, there you go, put it down, cake, that's the answer. The answer is cake.
Okay, anyways.
So there you go. That knowledge paid off, is what I was, saying. Okay, actual episode time. A rare moment of walking cycles in the show.
Franklin is normally waiting for me.
I didn't understand a word of that, but I'm going to turn up the volume. Oh, Franklin's normally waiting for me. That's okay. That's what she said.
I can't believe we lost.
I know.
Okay. I think I mentioned this before, but like,
oh God,
because the way that like this scene is framed, Tari walks in. It's kind of like like in the stereotypical school plays where someone walks in and then like they wait for their cue or something, so that two things are rarely happening at once. So you just have them like someone goes into position. No, I will say my line. That kind of thing. It seems like Franklin was almost waiting for his cue, and his cue was Tari walks in before he started talking. So I would have definitely framed it. I'd have potentially like had it so that the camera was following Tari still, and then the camera continues to pan towards Franklin, and that's when, and maybe like before we see him, we hear our line of like, "I can't believe that we lost," and that's when the camera would finally rest as this character is talking, who I won't say the name of yet because that's revealed in the episode.
Oh, right. I think we would have won if Pat made that goal early on.
Maybe, but if Gigi didn't miss that goal near the end, we would have had an even better chance of winning.
I think I failed to say Gigi in a timely fashion. Like, if Gigi didn't miss it, if Gigi didn't... There was a lot of text of me just going like that all the time.
True. You'd make a great assistant coach. Hey, I could ask Coach LeBrun if he'd be open to it.
You think?
He is my uncle.
He is?
You didn't know that?
No.
Okay. No. This is what happens when I think this was the first episode that Aidan was trying out mainly like pre-generated poses for characters. So and that was that's meant to increase efficiency. But when it comes to certain lines where you think like a more of like a no or something, like a bit of a grander gesture would be more appropriate, then you just have like no. It can be a little bit goofy at times. but it's a good idea in principle. Like that back on Kathleen against the playground. Yeah, that's true. I was thinking to myself, wait, who was that? I was like, oh wait, no, it's an extra. Never mind.
I'll ask him tomorrow for you.
Thank you, Allie.
No problem. Crap, I gotta get to talk to my brother again.
He's being reckless on the monkey bars again?
Yeah, see you later.
See ya. And good luck with him.
I'll need it.
Yeah, now we fight
Franklin?
Hey! Sorry, I was talking to Allie. She's really cool.
Another issue with pre-generated poses, Franklin never turns his head. Well, most characters don't turn their heads in this series. But the thing is that he's like just constantly staring at the characters' like chins, essentially, or like the neck.
Oh no, I just saw something. The skirt is.
Oh yeah, the skirt's dislocated. That's true. I've noticed as well that some of like the arms seem like they're dislocated too. Out of potentially for like the for some of the poses, like actually just like tilted the forgot this part's name. You know, tilted the back of the arm forward a little bit so you can see the shoulder joint. So that way you don't get the issue of like the arm being like like that.
Might give her a nickname one of these days.
I got worried since you weren't at the playground.
I didn't know that was so important to you.
I'm back. So, there are a few things I missed to say. So, for one, the voice of Allie is Mega Nuts. She auditioned for
the chat won't know who that is yet. But
yeah, she auditioned for some stuff. She has a huge role in The People Above.
Yeah.
With a future character that's going to be introduced in episode 2.
Well, the character's already been introduced, but she hasn't spoken yet.
Well, yeah. So, but just a little, so a little fun fact there. And
Oh God. Okay. Sorry. I quick interruption, Aidan. I'm gonna say this. Do not care about subscribers. Care about the content that you make. If you can do that, then you can get some, subscriber goals and stuff.
I think he's kind of joking. This isn't like a sense by bun situation. I'm pretty sure Johnny's joking. And then again, he has more reason than most to be jealous in reality, like outside of jokes, because of the whole like Tomato Channel thing.
Right? Yeah, fair enough. I
Yeah.
just want to say, if you just continue making content that you love to do and stuff like that, also making content that a lot of your fans really like as well, you will get a lot of subscribers. Like,
yeah, we're gonna continue to promote you on Gacha Review. So yeah. But no, you're probably joking anyway, so that's fair.
Yeah. Anyways, go ahead, Aidan.
So, and the first scene was actually the first scene I made for this episode. Sometimes I make scenes in order, sometimes I have to make them out of order. In this case, the first scene was super simple, and I made it like months ago. Like the first scene was made like I think like 2.5
really
months
like
ago.
the background character, by the way, in that scene.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was one I had lying around. I think like I made his character as soon as the PC version came out with like the updated hair and stuff, like all the new hair and stuff. So I was like, can I make something cool with his hair? And then with his hairstyle, and then it's like
The answer was yes.
And random background character number one
going bananas on the monkey bars. Wow.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Oh my god, yeah, reference to Quest the Rising Sun. Everyone, it's time for the chip conga! Let's go!
Mateo, we already did it! Not again, please!
Also, Allie mentioning like her brother like kind of being reckless on the monkey bars was partially inspired off me, but very loosely based off me, because basically my brother would climb down the monkey bars once, was kind of messing around, fell, and then hit his chin. It started bleeding. It wasn't great. So it's partially based off real life experiences, but not really, because that wasn't a common thing he did. But partially off real life experience.
I mean, no one seems to have fallen just yet, hopefully. So we'll see.
Well, it is.
What's wrong?
I would have gone the line of like, well, it is, or something, rather than like, well, it is, obviously.
How long have you known her?
A few days. We met at the game over the weekend. I've been talking a lot on Discord. I may not have gotten much sleep recently.
Yeah, that was. Now we got a smile. I was gonna say, I needed a smile like beforehand. It's meant to be like a, like a sheepish thing. It's like, oh yeah, that's definitely not an issue that I've encountered. That kind of thing.
What's the matter?
Nothing.
Right. You jealous?
Why would I be?
Whoa, I didn't mean to.
That line is kind of goofy.
Here's another thing again where it's all about, no two things are happening at once. That was meant to be an interruption. They're going like, why would I be? Well, I mean, I'm just going by assumptions here. Again, it's giving school play, and in this case,
Why would
it's
I
going
be?
into cue biting in actual animation. It's still called that.
Cue biting.
Yeah.
Touch a nerve.
I should get a drink at the water fountain before Mrs. Dysart's class.
Was that was that StreamYard stuttering, or did you say Mrs. Dysart?
That was
Yeah,
an
that was
actual line,
actual-
but I pretty much had candidate where she was dealing with so many emotions at that point that she couldn't really speak clearly.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's how I'm head
didn't-
candidate. And it's like, no, that's why. That's why she did that.
That is fair because they're basically stone walls now, so it's good to show that they're betraying their emotions verbally.
Mean to.
Hey, sis.
Man, I'd love to see people on the just on the football field with like chains and jewelry and everything. That's going to be a risk for them.
Well, technically, this is like mids. They have a weird recess, even though like a weird recess break period where they get to go outside and get out energy. Normally, this is technically like high school, but like normally high schoolers don't have this opportunity. But it's just like a free period thing that you could sign up to do instead of like yeah.
I mean, sure, that's
Get
all right then.
yeah,
But like, I know that doesn't taking a rule against. I just mean like for their own sake, they probably should have thought of that rather than doesn't that be like enforced necessarily.
Tari, what's going on?
It's nothing.
We can talk if you... Well,
Like you care.
Like you care.
Tari.
Some of these takes are very questionable.
But
Well, I mean, the original "like you care" was already questionable, but that's what we're calling back to. So I guess it kind of matches in a way. But also, that was a nice transition back into here.
And after Perseus cut off her head, it turns out she was pregnant. Dun dun dun. And
I like that edit I did there. I was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna have to get closer to time.
People used to complain, why did I edit Mrs. Dysart the way
Okay,
that I did?
to be fair, I'm not really a fan of having the screen spin or get like super wacky and weird in the case of it. But I am fun with playing up with zoom ins, and like having it closer.
There were some zooms occasionally, but yeah.
golden warrior named Chazor, as well as Pegasus, emerged from inside her to live their own adventures in due time.
I think the golden name was actually Chryson rather than Shazor, but it was not. I haven't seen an official pronunciation. I don't think.
So she like
Ew,
gave
that audio
birth
quality.
to a horse.
Well, Poseidon did invent horses,
That just raises further questions.
Yeah.
I like Phoebe's line reads when she has like acerbated like lines where she's like, why? Like,
honestly, I think my favorite
really good for BB's
my
line
favorite
reads.
BB delivery of all time has to be an episode 1 of Mrs. Dysart, where
What
she
does that
just
even mean?
yeah, exactly. I rest all MVPs. What does that even mean? It's like, so good.
so good. That'd be so good. Yes.
All right. I know that this. Hold on, Jessica. I know this isn't her, but the girl with the blue hair looks like my mum. Ah, yes. Okay, so bit of a lore dump here for those who haven't seen Disco Pops. Jessica is the daughter of Marinette from Miraculous Ladybug. Just to clarify for anyone who was wasn't in the know about that one, which you should absolutely be. Check out Disco Pops on Johnny's channel and subscribe. Get him to closer to 1,000.
The Scrabble.
Anyway. So just taking the Ghost Girl script, and I gave Sheena, this friend with ginger hair, the name Finn Ginger hair starting with an F. I think you were going to make Felix a character in Ghost Girl, weren't you?
Yeah, please make Felix a character.
I remember him
Ghost
being
Girl.
in there.
Yeah, he was initially. You should make sure he's in there again. Although, if you want to make having another ginger-haired character starting with a different letter and reference another character, you could reference Lilith and named, I don't know, the guy like Lux or something. You know, to reference Lilith if you want to have it be a completely different
Meta Runner, I think, but yeah.
Oh, I actually rewatched Spin Meta Runner recently. So
that
good.
makes sense.
But yeah, I couldn't think of L names. I mean, Luke. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Lilith, I guess like Linus would be a good approximation, maybe.
Well, Linus would be like, send him to the principal office or whatever. Send
him to the principal's office and have him expelled. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I hope you all continue to think about what your chosen myth will be. I will be assigning your group's next lesson.
Group project arc coming soon, or starting technically next episode.
Which is approximately around the time that it happened in Mutant Girl, so Mrs. Dysart's consistent in her curriculum, I suppose.
Yes.
Perfect timing. See you all in 2 days.
Also, that's another example of the Mrs. Dysart show having a small line or small moment foreshadowing a future episode or future plot point. Like you had episode 1 didn't really do too much foreshadowing, but episode 2 generally foreshadowed the whole Vane Evelyn thing in one brief moment with the mirror in episode 2. And then episode 3, we also have the room. No, in episode 1, 2, and 3, we also had the messy room. But it was verbally talked about in episode 3. Which led into episode 4.
Episode 1 did kind of foreshadow, I guess, it didn't foreshadow. It kind of set up elements of the entire show because Mrs. Dysart's final line of it did said for you that learned to get along in time. She'd already assessed that kind of idea, and that's basically
it did technically set up Tari and Franklin's friendship, or not set up. It didn't introduce their friendship, but foreshadowed their friendship being a character trait of both of them, or a plot point, which was a massive plot point in episode 2. Because Tari was massively involved during that. Yeah. And obviously Franklin, its focus.
There is always one of you, it seems. All right, then. How may I help you, Todd?
If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I checked the script, but I think in the script we had it sort of Todd goes up to Mrs. Dysart and talks to her. I guess because he's already in the front row.
Yeah, he's kind of in the front. It was kind of a logistics thing because based off where Todd was placed already, I'm I technically don't even have him walk to her because literally he's right in front of her already. He just needs to stand. If it was any other character, if it was Zoe, if it was Tari, Franklin,
I forgot how
Evelyn.
Close. I forgot how close Mrs. Dysart tended to stand in the classroom when we wrote the scene.
Well, you see, it's Tari. She's in a little bit of a situation, and I was wondering if...
Mrs. Dysart hears, Mrs. Tari's been in a bit of a situation, and she still goes, tell me about it.
Tell me about it, listen.
You're still
angry. Hey, well, no, she's thinking inside, hey, at least it's not a supernatural situation, I'm
glad
about that.
Teen angst I can handle. I've done my time with cataclysmic events. It's like a reverse to Harry Potter. It's like, Harry, you've battled dragons. Surely asking a girl to the Yule Ball will be fine. I'll take the dragons over this.
Your kick's too high. If you want to aim for the back joints, your best bet is your inner border, not the instep.
Music I have over this.
Yeah, I like the fact that all of the different footballs are different sizes.
They were just when they were bought off Amazon, they didn't realize that some were made from China, some were made from the UK, some were made from Brazil, some were made in America, so they didn't realize that sizing standards were different across those things. So, oops-a-doopsies. Oh well. Totally.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
That's totally the reason. Totally not me missizing everything, but you know what? Whatever.
Yes, it does seem like a Phoenix counterpart with what you just described there.
I know, but how else do I angle the ball up? Every time I try, it just flies to one of the side posts.
Well, first of all, you've got to stand further back if you think you're gonna like just boot it, because otherwise it will just fly away.
That's where the practice comes in. Try again.
Yeah, but I know the joke is gonna happen, but I'm just gonna say, if you're that close, you probably should be like, aiming like on the floor rather than just going like boom. That was another mistake there. Anyway,
well,
joke time.
This is the only field I have. This is like the field we showed. I don't have the rest of. There isn't any more part of the field. I didn't zoom in on this far on purpose. This is literally what the field looks like. Technically,
I do remember using that same field in Puppy Love, so I know which one you mean. This one's like one of the actual gacha backgrounds, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
My lettuce.
there it is.
See,
the Cabbage Man.
Yeah.
Reference.
Yep, the Cabbage Man, everyone's favorite Fire Nation spy.
Hopeless. I hate this game. Why do people play it?
Again, the frustration doesn't really come across when you're using the pre-generated poses. It's like, I hate this game. Why do we play it? I'm so frustrated.
Listen. I've tried to make poses. Listen, it's kind of hard. At least it's really hard, especially because I personally don't like to do full body movement.
I mean,
I don't like to do full body movement because the moment I start like, oh, I'm going to rotate the body. Oh, I'm going to spread out the legs more. Then all of a sudden, everyone's anatomy goes crazy. Then it's like, wow, look, her leg is disconnected. Oh, I didn't know she shattered her leg in this pose.
My effing legs, Greco.
It's like again, that's one of the reasons why Gacha Life 2 isn't, I'm not a huge fan of it, because like, again, in general with the poses, like if I push the poses too far, they look horrific. Even some of her design aspects makes her look kind of mess with the design a little bit too much. Because like her sleeves are super puffy, her hair is super long, therefore it ends up kind of getting out of the way. That's why probably in future appearances of her, I'm probably going to change her design, change the sleeves around or something.
Actually, well, having her hair tied up would actually kind of make sense considering that she does a lot of sports. So the main
reason why it was messy design wise was purely because well, she doesn't do many sports right now. I mean, she's active, but she doesn't do many sports. But like, she doesn't really keep her hair kept too much because she's kind of always focusing on being active and stuff. So it causes her hair to get really messy. Like so.
I mean, that's fine. Like, for like the messy hair part makes sense. I just mean, like, if you want to like have it tied up so it's like away from everything else, then there's a logistical reason. I mean, even somebody who doesn't take care of their hair that much still can physically tie it up. In fact, it's fairly common practice. But anyway, that's what you're saying about the body movements and stuff with Gacha Life 2. It's not necessarily that you need to like go like that fully go into that aspect. If you don't want to, it's not like she has to like spread her legs more to like a wide stance or something like the Elizabethan actors of old. No, that's not it. That's a Blackadder reference in case anyone got that. But yeah, like in this situation, for the frustration thing, I would imagine, but I guess arms forward or something like this, like an kind of thing. Maybe a head tilt backwards a bit. I know you hate tilting heads for some reason, but like just a tiny motion.
Tilting the heads also ends up being kind of messed up with the way the neck connects to the body.
You have arrow keys to account for that for a reason.
Listen, okay, it's really not as easy. It's kind of annoying.
I use the same app as you. I know what it's like.
Yeah, but it's really annoying, and also it's just the fact that I need to get this done eventually. It's been a month. It's been 5 months. Okay.
Rush.
Well, it wasn't really rushing. It's the fact that I wanted to sit down and actually get it done for once.
And that's
it's been 5 months. Like I literally went on. I hate going on several month hiatuses. Like
oh no, I do as well. I understand it from that aspect. But yeah, like at least like the arms forward, if nothing else, would have worked. Maybe maybe a bit more of like a furrowed brow, like a close their eyes in frustration. Because that's the thing. Because when you
also that's another issue I have.
Hmm?
I can't close their eyes or do many anime expressions because every time I literally have to go into the app, remove their eye highlight, and then do that little.
But yeah, it's an extra step. But the thing is, you can press a remove and add button; it will be in the same configuration as it was before.
Yeah, it's just annoying that I constantly have to do that because, like, back in like Gacha, like I was editing Immune Crossing earlier, and when I was doing the anime expressions, I literally don't have to go in the app and be like, okay, gotta edit the eye a little bit just to make sure it looks weird.
Again, I understand exactly what you mean. It's just it is like an extra step.
I really do miss the anime expressions though. Like in his Dysart show, I'd love to lean more into the anime aesthetic eye wise because that's something I find fun, which I think will hurt the Mutant Girl stepping away from because with like the Mutant Girl scenes especially. The anime eyes and the wacky anime expressions, because especially the Mutant Girl compared to something like Fallen Angels, the Mutant Girl heavily leans into slice of life funness. Most of the time, Fallen Angels, I do get to include it, but I don't get to lean into it that much. Like I get to barely do that.
Well, that may end up becoming an issue. We may find a solution to that. It really depends.
Yeah. And also, some of the anime eyes look very kind of weird in the thing. Like, like the eyes where it's like not the closed eyes where you're pointing down, but the pointing up, like that kind of cheery face. The cheery closed eyes. How do I describe it? They look a lot smaller in GL2 than in Gacha Life and Gacha Club.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
I don't know why they look a bit smaller though. Like I don't know why they got downsized because I don't like how that they're slightly smaller now.
I think you can resize them if it bothers you.
Would that even work? Because that's technically in the expression area of the app.
I'm not sure. Again, I had not looked into this because that was not something that was in any of my list of
expressions. Or I want to explore more. Solution. Okay, Ghosty. It's hard to prepare a episode, let alone a few. It takes at least a week, maybe a week and a half.
Yeah, and that's also the reason that I don't prepare musical episodes in advance, because if I did, then it wouldn't be like a release for the next like 5 years versus just one. That's the problem. That's the reason I don't do that.
Oh my god! Okay, that's free. Okay. Hold on. Okay, look. I was like, it was like I just got a vision. Bob Stringer, he was sending me a design, and then I was looking up, hearing Jacob's laugh, and I was looking. It was like, is he frozen or something like that? And I was like, oh wait a second, that's Jacob doing the laugh in the. I hate myself. I spaced out for a minute. I spaced.
Well, if my fake laugh is convincing, there you go. I said it before. There's like a little bit of a dichotomy as far as like voice actors who prefer fake crying versus fake laughing, and I'm on the fake laugh side. So there you go.
I was like so confused, and then when he was like coughing, I was like, oh wait, it's the show, not Jacob actually laughing.
Yeah, although here, I guess like another example where the anatomy doesn't works to your disadvantage, because you would at least think that maybe he would like double over or something, like a tiny bit to cough, because now he's just like cover your mouth at least, Franklin. Like, come on.
Right?
I know COVID's over in the Butterverse, but it's you're still spreading pathogens straight over to your friend's face. Anyway,
she's gonna get sick.
Did I actually cough for that? I forget if I actually coughed as like a blooper thing, or I actually went like like that, because I can do that. In fact, I did that day for Secrets of the Plex actually. Anyway.
Shut up, you!
Why do you... Oh, there was a little bit of like an extra cough to that. Like a little bit of like an extra time of cue biting. So that was nice. And yeah, I guess I probably was a fake cough, because I just remembered I did that whole coughing scene that Emil did in People Above. That was just me going...
Okay.
Like that. Just cough. I swear I did that for like twice the length that was in the episode. I cut out most of it.
I want to be a striker anyway. I honestly think you've got a midfielder's skill. I've seen you run.
I mean, I guess, but getting to score more is cooler.
This argument again. Every position on the team is vital. No one.
This is actually part of like my actual frustration with how people like address the sport of football, because it's like, I mean, come on. Honestly, both footballs. You know, the American and the British one, or the rest of the worldish one.
One position is more important than.
Hey, Franklin, can I talk to you for a second?
Todd? Yeah, sure. You don't mind, right?
We've been hanging out for ages today. I should head back home.
Alright, see you tomorrow. Really? We were
Nice like use of like the footsteps to actually be environment appropriate.
enjoying ourselves here.
Seems to me she wasn't having much fun.
That's just adrenaline and rage. Very common with sports, trust me.
I'll take your word for it. The only
He's not
thing I
wrong.
know that connects to sports is the Kronos effect.
The what?
Well, Kronos was the Titan leader that we all learned about.
I was about to say that like the way there was like I just like that's that was what I envisioned the line when it was written, but actually it matches the delivery, so that one makes sense.
You know, the one who defeated Oranos and sliced off his...
Stop! What is this? English 2.0?
Yeah, so so two things about that line. First of all, Q biting again. It was like, you know, sliced off his stop like that. Because it was very specifically timed, because if people know what it was that Kronos sliced off of his father and threw into the ocean.
Yeah, please.
That's why that was there.
Please,
That's why that
please,
interruption was there. Thank you,
please,
kiddo.
please,
That was the demonstration.
Right, please.
Jacob's not gonna say it's Jacob. I mean, I would, I on the other hand would probably.
Yes, I know. That's fine. Press play, Jacob, please.
I think I wrote that line, so there you go.
Did you really ask to talk to me just to bring up more Greek myths?
No! Okay, yes, but this is going somewhere. I think it's important if you hear this one.
I already had a class indirectly aimed at me. I'm still sorting that one out.
I think this was also my attempt, at least like our attempt in the script to, when this was still, you know, KW, was still Mrs. Dysart, still having like valid complaints about like the amount of stuff that Mrs. Dysart had to like go over and say. I was like, okay, well let's have one of the other like, take over. Yeah, let's say that. Oh, okay, Mrs. Dysart taught them this, but now you know he's like they're going over like a bit of a refresher. It's not an as you know because we wasn't paying attention. Doesn't count.
So if you'll excuse me. I think I'm also going to head.
This one's not about you. It's about my sister.
There's no mouth movement animation. Why? Because Gacha Life 2. And yes, I know that I technically found a way to do animated mouths in Gacha Life 2. Technically speaking, that would have taken absolute eons. So I can see why. Although then again, actually, Aidan would probably find that easier than I did because he doesn't have to deal with different head angles.
Yeah, true, but like my mere hesitation to even attempt to do that is purely the fact that I don't know, like if I misplace the mouth and have it be too low, then like their mouth is like weirdly placed where it's like their chin is going into their chin, like their chin is partially speaking.
Well, yeah, that's why you kind of got like play the footage.
If you go too high, especially with some of these characters, it would be maybe a tad more challenging. Like Franklin has glasses on his face, and if I get a large enough moving mouth, it may end up going on the glasses, being like, "Oh yeah, your mouth overlaps your glasses for a second."
That's fair. Yeah, that would me with mask it, but I understand. Yeah,
and it'd be like, yeah, like. I mean, honestly, I've considered being like, "Hey, yo, Jacob, would you do all the mouse?" But then I'm like, Jacob's got enough to do. I think it'd be kind of not really good if I like.
Yeah, you were probably doing this. You're probably editing this around the same time that I was like backed up with a ton of things.
Yeah, we were mostly working on Mute Girl all the time. But even if like if I started using the moving mouse or started to have Jacob do the moving mouse, or if I had someone start to do the moving mouse on the characters. It's the reason why Fallen Angels isn't going to jump to this app is purely because the moment I do that is the moment I have to continue it indefinitely because it'd be kind of weird if some episodes had moving mouse, some episodes didn't. And it's like, oh, look, the quality of the episode.
I mean, you say that, but like some parts of Fallen Angels already, and Mutant Girl, actually, in all fairness, already don't have the moving mouse based on like who's editing that particular scene. it's not like the entire episode is devoid of them, but like at least there's some parts where I'm like, okay, well, this is going to be complicated for this editor for X reason. So you know what, fair. We'll do without. That being said, nowadays I'd just be like, okay, just send it without the mouse and I'll deal with that because I found the solution. But yeah, in the past, I'd be like,
I think it'd be cool if Jacob ever were up to do that. But like again, that's kind of a lot of responsibility that he probably doesn't need to handle. He doesn't or shouldn't have to handle. At least in my opinion.
Yeah, for people above, I've actually already started doing that. So yeah, that's episode 2 will have a lot more effort put into it than the very rushed episode 1 did.
Go on.
Yeah.
Okay, so remember that after Kronos took power, Oranos cursed him? May your children destroy you?
As you have destroyed me, yes, I remember. Then he decided to swallow all of his kids so none of them could grow up to overthrow him.
Exactly. In his paranoia, he made an enemy of his mate. Just like Oranos made an enemy with Gaia by locking some of their children away. The curse became self-fulfilling.
Yeah, it would have been like by locking some of their children away, just to really emphasize the self-fulfilling.
Because he tried to prevent it. But that's not the part I'm worried about.
Also, this is why in this series I have so many varieties of similar poses, like slight hand changes or slight different like angling up of the hands or something. Like if you notice, I go through a lot of pose changes just to overcompensate. If I don't have moving mouths, the least I could do is at least have, say, like 20 plus or like 30 plus poses that flow decently into each other, that maybe I can like kind of give more of an illusion of movement than without the moving mouths. Because
yeah, that's true. That's also something to that I did for Alpha Witch Academy. But yes, like it actually works a lot better here than in the previous scene where I was talking about like, the limitations in the like anatomy and such. Because yeah, like that's ultimately comes down to what you said. Body language can be a very good way of accounting for that. And yes, you've got the facial expression still, so it's that's part of body language naturally. So you would technically be covered anyway. But it's not quite the same, and in fact, it actually harkens back to one of the to like the biggest limitation that that Afmal described when making My Street. The fact that characters either just don't have mouths and they have limited movement, so they had to convey most of the stuff through voice, for example. So yeah, like that, and in this sense, like when he's just like explaining something or like I guess recapping a particular lesson and spinning it in a different way, it makes a lot of sense here because he's being a bit more reserved, a bit more neutral, in his state. So that's why there's less Titans. So the general multi-purpose ones work a lot better in something like this than it did for like Ali's Rage before, or lack thereof.
Yeah, you know what? One thing that I find interesting with the series, though, Todd is played by Phantom, who is currently the voice of Julius.
Yes.
And Todd and Julius have some similarities. Granted, when I say this, it's not a complete the same similarities where it's like the jokiness of Julius is not with Todd. Like Todd's not really that jokey of a character. And honestly, compared to someone like Julius, he comes off way more meek. Like we do kind of explore that later on more, but he's a bit more of a pushover. He's a lot more meek than a character like Julius is. So he kind of wants the joke aspect of Julius, but he has like the more studious aspect. He has and like he has kind of a similar dynamic with Mrs. Dysart, or a somewhat.
He has like his moments of wisdom. Yeah, he also has a a frenemy interaction with one of the characters, namely Tari in this case. I mean, Judas and Reina act like siblings, whereas Tari and Todd are actual twins. So yeah, kind of similar as well.
And then another character in the series is actually similar and shares the same VA with shares the same VA with being Evelyn and Pop. Because like they're both now technically voiced by Emily since Milla left, and she's now the main VA at Pop. So it's like now, ironically, she's playing the two different Mean Girls. Granted, I've also thought about this. Like technically, Evelyn and Pop are very different characters. For starters, Evelyn doesn't really do anything too bad. Like Evelyn would never try to frame anyone or anything. Evelyn's mean. Evelyn's vain, but she would never do anything too mean.
Yeah,
she's just very unpleasant to be around. Not to mention, and just she also doesn't have friends or like quote unquote. All right.
Yeah, she doesn't have like a gang or a posse.
She doesn't have a gang. Like, I mean, she has people, but even the friends she has, we explore later on, isn't as close as anyone. She's not really close with anyone like that. So it's like Also, I wouldn't say she's popular. Even Pop wasn't really popular, but I wouldn't say she's popular either. I've seen neither.
Well, I mean, yeah, but we won't see like what everyone's standing is like outside of this one classroom, so it's kind of hard to say in their case. That would kind of be that would be a little bit of like I would just have to look into like the dynamic of like across the entire school.
Also, we inevitably do explore more of why Evelyn is the way she is, which we haven't gotten to much of that in the Moon Girl. Ironically, even though the Moon Girl's a lot longer than this, or has existed a lot longer than this. Yet we haven't really explored much of why Pop is the way she is. I guess you technically make guesses of why Pop's the way she is. But
yeah, and also no one's willing to approach her about it because they all hate her. So
yeah. So, and I don't know, honestly, her Evelyn's dynamic with Zoe is kind of a similar dynamic with her with Pop and Reina. Technically, I would compare that dynamic, or at least early Pop and Reina, like episode 1 especially highlighting how they interacted with. Reina standing up to her, having that back and forth in episode 1, which we don't really explore much, unfortunately. I kind of wish we did, but didn't really get explored much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the difference between Tari and Reina actually is that Tari is like as Reina in season 2 wanted to like increase her circle of friends as much as possible, and
Zoe doesn't really care.
Like, I'm gonna keep the current circle as small and as close as I possibly can. So there's another difference. Anyway, first of all, thank you Ghosty for the $5 donation. Any production limits that cut time but don't look bad, like Monster Companion being a high effort thing, but I'm a single woman, which is also a reason why I imagine that like having like a bunch of backup episodes for you might also end up being too stressful, because then you're gonna have the temptation to scrap them, quite honestly, knowing you. So
I mean, in my opinion, the best way to do a production is to find a production cycle where it's easy enough for you to do, but also looks really good and isn't draining too much. Like I mean, I would say Fallen Angels is probably the best. Is probably one of the more examples. Like, it's not too hard to make a Fallen Angel episode, or too hard to do it most of the time, unless I do something crazy and like have a fight scene or something. But most of the time in a Fallen Angel episode, I don't go too crazy extreme with it, but I do go far enough with it where it's like high effort. It looks good, it flows well, but it's also not killing me to make it. Like, I gotta make this scene, I don't want to do it, not again, that kind of thing. Because the moment that starts happening constantly, and purely be in making the specific thing ends up getting too much on your mental sanity, it's like that's a good recipe for
burnouts.
Yeah, and then you either burn out more, or eventually, in the case of a lot of Gacha tubers, they quit their series. They're like, oh, it's doing good, but it's too much work, I can't do this, I quit. It's like, oh, okay.
A lot of people don't even get that far. Some people will start like a voice acted project, then realize how much work it is and get burnt out before the first episode releases.
Yeah. Or episode 1 will come out and then it will never be touched on again. Like, I'm pretty sure Rabbit Hole, I heard somewhere, that is on indefinite hiatus because that creator's busy in real life. It's like, yeah, you kind of flew close to the sun, flew way too close to the sun in production value. I mean, the Rabbit Hole looked beautiful. It looks great.
Oh yeah, we reviewed it. Yeah,
it is not. It's one of those things like Rosie Closey's videos. It's not really one of those standards that you can continuously make over and over again without getting really tired fast. It's like one of those standards that you start to really hit. It's like, oh, I don't envy having to make something that good. Constantly. Especially when you get to the point where you're like, you feel like you have to constantly top yourself. You're like, oh man, I did so good with this. It looks so good. And then you're like, oh, how do I top this even further? Even though I was already stressed out to death initially making it.
Yeah.
Let me add in this aspect to make it even better, even though that's going to stress you out even more. And if
Like,
that
I get the I get the impulse to surpass one's limits, or I guess at the very least, like cross a personal barrier that you might have encountered for yourself.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean,
on a journey. Like for example, mouse.
you just gotta find your own good production flow, where you can make it semi-consistently. Like again, I would say if Monster Compendium, I would kind of drop the eyes somewhat. If I'm honest, like I would drop the eyes superimposed because I think it makes it a tad too much for you. You know, because then you have to like have individual screenshots and stuff. You know, and like remove their eyes and with all the pose changes and stuff. You know. I mean, again, if you want to continue with it, that's cool. But like, oof, that seems like a lot of work constantly.
You do also have the opposite of all of that, though. Like, because this is where I found my issue with motivation and production, which is why most of Final Break is handed off to other people because I know I can't do it. Because if it looks too bad, what happened with me specifically is I didn't like the way it looked. I couldn't get it to look how I wanted, so I gave up. I couldn't do it. It wasn't in my skill set. I couldn't figure out how to learn. I hated it, so I gave up. So if you do production value too low and it's too easy and it doesn't look good to you, to other people, and in the end you end up not liking it because it suffers of low quality because of how easy and how little time it took.
Okay, yeah, this is where I'm for. First of all, I understand Kenobi is getting late. That's fair enough. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, this is where my approach to Mutant Girl kind of came in, at least because I mean, yeah, like when especially when it started, everything was beyond my will sets, and before going into it, I actually looked up quite a few tutorials. Like basically, I like the idea of even using green screen at all. It was like, okay, I've heard of I know what a green screen is. Can I do that in video? Turns out there was a tutorial for it. So there's a couple of things there where I was like, okay, well now I can see how this can go, and I'm gonna learn accordingly. And that's when I first found out about keyframes too, and that took a couple of bits here and there, to get used to, and over time I've applied polish to those things, and also added more things. I was like, well, I mean, unfortunately I can't do this, that, and the other here, for example, so I will eventually either learn how to do it, or as happened occasionally, the Gacha app itself will update in a way that you can do said thing. That's happened a couple of times. Or the other option is that I stumble across an idea accidentally, and then it completely warps my entire process. And I was like, wait, there's so much more that I can do now. Because that's the thing about Gacha that drew me into it in the first place, was the fact that it has near infinite potential if you know what you're doing. And that's just one of those things. And YouTube is great in that sense of being able to help out with that, or even just watching other Gacha videos and finding things that oh well,
I also find from a production side as well, as time goes on, I think sometimes you could find some unique tricks. Like for this episode, a unique trick I actually figured out was, because I wanted to start doing screenshot, because now that I'm not using moving mouse, it's like, okay, I should just screenshot the characters instead of recording them, because when I have the moving mouse and have the full on recording, I have to record a good 30 seconds, even though the line may be 5 seconds. You don't have to overcompensate just in case, the line is too long. But now that I didn't have to worry about that, it made at least filming go a bit faster. So I'm like, how am I going to film this? I can't take a screenshot manually because, I'm still trying to figure that part out. So then I'm like, oh, I got an idea. So I literally started recording and then just exported the frames in and then exported frames in my editing software, put it all in separate folders, and then just dragged it on my editing software.
It kind of reminds me actually of when we stopped using or when we stopped being able to use animated poses, or when we stopped using moving hair from Gacha Club, because we realized oh yeah, that's that resets and judders back every single time. That's one of Bond's least favorite things. And once we stopped doing that, it was like, oh wait a minute, okay, well now I can just have it so that, because the animated mouths, they loop back and forward so quickly that if it does jump back into position, no one notices. like ever.
Yeah.
So what I do nowadays is that having like trial and error. I just I press like start Alt and R. It's like okay, I can do that. Doom, and then a couple seconds. Doom, and then next pose. Doom, doom, and then that's what I drag into my editing software now. So it's another thing. So you can drag those and they can loop, or you can obviously trim them if you need to.
Yeah.
It really depends on like how fast or slow you're doing the thing, but you have that option. Again, part of the limitless potential.
And then circle back to Ghosty though, real quick. Ghosty, don't worry too much about having it be perfect, I guess. You're trying to polish it to a point where it doesn't necessarily need to be as polished. Like, in my opinion, if you want the story to get out there, make it great, not perfect. Because there is a difference between this is great instead of this is absolutely perfect. Especially on a visual level, just make sure you write the good story. Especially because I think people could overlook anytime there's a visual shorthand if the story or characters or something is good enough.
Oh yeah, anyone remember Mutant Girl season 1? Anyone?
Yeah, that part of a lot of the animation was hot garbage.
But we're still learning stuff. But
yeah, you just gotta make sure. You just gotta really try to emphasize the story. Try to emphasize the voice acting in this case, because there's voice actors, and then try to give great visuals, but not perfect visuals. And honestly, I think people will flock to it. Just make sure, as long as you're happy with it, that is a major thing. Just make sure you're personally happy with it. And try not to go too crazy in the polish, And
if people don't flock to it, it'll be because it's on a relatively inactive channel, and that's just how that works sometimes. Okay. There's younger me who made 6 episodes of The Ghost Girl and got halfway through a script for episode 7 before taking a step back. The story didn't make sense, so she tossed it to me.
Don't worry. If you need someone to check over a script at any point, if you write a full-on script and you want someone to check over it, call me and Jacob. We can read through it and then be like, hey, by the way, this line doesn't make sense. Why is she saying this? This really contradicts the 2 lines ahead of it.
That's what Emily's been doing recently.
Yeah.
That is what I've been doing. These two are my proofreaders.
Exactly. Proofreading is having someone proofread your script, regardless of who it is actually a really smart idea. Just to have extra eyes. Because listen, sometimes you read someone else's script and you're like,
on the how to make videos better video that I did.
Sometimes you read. Yes.
Ghosty, you can stay actually because because again it's a creative rules, so we have an extra slot.
But actually I gotta go unfortunately. But don't worry, I'll watch the stream. I'll watch the stream anyway. I'll probably stream later. So be nice, or I will find you. I'm kidding. I don't care. Bye.
Okay. We still have an extra slot. We continue to have an extra place for Ghosty. I don't know why the keyboard was all the way over there, but it is. Okay.
Oh yeah. The idea that since you've overthrown someone already, so to speak, that someone could just come along and do the same thing to you.
How does this relate to Tari?
Well,
I'm gonna let Ghosty in after this.
Well, I can remember, she wasn't always your best friend, was she? There was someone before that.
Yes, Jason. I remember him. He was pretty cool. It's just Tari was cooler. My goodness, I'm doing it again, aren't I?
Yep, there we go. So the Kronos effect was something that I coined in one of the books, the book series that I'm writing many years ago. I think back in 2016, 2017, potentially. The book never released, but the idea was it was actually also football related, fittingly enough. It was somebody who at one point was the main the main goalkeeper, but then someone came along who was better, so that person became the sub goalkeeper the next year. And then suddenly, of course, the main character comes along in the next year and well, I mean, even if she's actually terrible at the sports as she just started, but even so, the guy who's now the main is really mean to her because it's he wants to put her down so she doesn't actually rise up and improve in order to actually overthrow him. And that was what was and the guy who used to be the main he coined the Kronos effect, and that was the idea behind that. Is that it's this fear that something that you've done to somebody else, they're gonna do to you, because you realize that there's a reason that can already happen. And yeah, that's not an official term, but there you go. I've coined it, trademark. Ghosty's here.
Ghosty's here.
Ghosty's dead.
But anyway, as I was saying, the Ghosty's dead. Ghosty's dead.
No, I do like the Yelp is here. Yelp is dead joke in TFS.
Oh, I thought I had crashed or something and didn't notice.
No.
As I was going to say, I think my problem with Monster Compendium is that I add too much polish, way too much polish. But in my mind brain, I'm like, nobody will watch it if it isn't finished, if it isn't good.
Yeah,
I don't know. The goblin that lives in my brain is really aggressive about the quality of their media.
Yeah, like I said before, usually with artists, we're all our worst critics. So the stuff that we say to ourselves, we never say in real life. Although I've actually apparently since found out that I am people's worst critics sometimes, because they hear my voice in their head sometimes when they're going through things. But that's a whole other phenomenon that I can't get into.
When designing tape, I had Jacob's voice in my head going, "You need a reason for the eye patch. Come on, you can't just have an eye patch. It needs a reason. It needs a character. It needs a character reason. Come on, Emily. Come on." I had a nagging voice in my head.
Oh, sorry.
I like characters having a reason for their eye patches. And then there was the episode, the Gacha review before this, to where, the scar is bleeding and she puts an eye patch over it while it's still red and agitated.
And partially visible.
And that's not even the Elvic's problem at this point. At this point, she's just going to end up agitating her own injury to the point of infection.
Yeah, pretty much. Get a background was the against the playground. It's became a background character, yeah. Gacha Springboy's here. Hello. And also Maya 2.0. And apparently also Jalen and Olivia. Don't believe I remember an Olivia, but I do remember Jalen. So hello to both of you. Well, all three of you, actually, because I imagine you're in a circle together right now. So,
whenever I imagine a character using an eye patch purely for aesthetic appeal, I'm like, I somewhat get it. Because it used to be a big thing, especially around the Black Butler era of fashion.
Yeah. I do think of Megan from Konosuba, so
it's just eye patches appeared in anime, and then suddenly they became fashion. But a part of me is like, okay, but why? Someone who needs that eye patch could use it more than you, who's using it for a fashion purpose. We've essentially robbed the market of eye patches for people who need them.
Well, then again, supply and demand. Maybe that would therefore mean that there's a whole line of designer eye patches or something. Oh god, I just had an image of an eye patch with a brand logo on it.
So a Supreme eye patch.
Oh no, my Gookie eye patch.
Oh, no.
See, that's what thingies. What was the motionless dude's name yesterday?
What?
The guy from the
Devon.
Oh god,
review.
Sir Devon, that was his name. Sir Devon.
Devon.
Yeah.
We found Devon's dad's other business, fashionable eye patches.
So with jackets,
and
eye patches, and cocaine.
Yep.
Good to know.
Obviously.
Every time I
necessities.
think of the Gacha review from yesterday, I can't help but to think of when I said, "Sir Devon, hand me my weed piece."
I can't leave Tari behind. No wonder she's been in a bad mood. I gotta go. Thanks, Todd.
I feel like Franklin just ran Todd over with his one of his wheels. If you see the angle that he leaves at, let me just rewind that for a second. Let's just
I can't leave Tari behind.
No wonder she's been in a bad mood. See-through.
I gotta go. Thanks, Todd.
Look! He definitely ran him over there.
Oops, got your
any-
foot.
Look out, he's got a foot! Anyway.
I love Mrs. Dysart because it gives me an example of how to essentially cut my flow from Monster Compendium a little. But there are certain like creative choices that make me question what Aidan is doing.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that from like any gacha video, there can be things that someone can learn to. There can be do's and don'ts. That's what I find. There's do's and don'ts. With even like some of the best things, like the Music Freaks, for example. We've mentioned like many do's in there. Like I actually stole an editing technique from Rosie Closey for I guess what's still the most recent Music Girl episode a year later. But also on the other hand, I'm like, well, please, no one ever write like a musical sequence in such a way because these reasons. This is not.
Also,
it does not work.
Speaking of the Mutant Freaks, right quick, I figured out why I don't like it very much.
Oh, okay.
It's just that most of the musical portions don't have adequate build-up.
I guess, yeah. That's a fair point, because actually in a lot of musicals, what you'll have is that you'll have like the instrumental starts to like kick in as the characters are, about to sing. Sometimes it catches you by surprise, but a lot of the time, mainly that's because they have to cue the actors in on stage in order to like know when they're supposed to come in. That's probably a logistical thing. But yeah, like it does like inform people of that too. I get that, yeah.
The Music Freaks just tends to jump scare you with musical numbers.
Yeah.
It has the Has-Been Hotel problem of how not to write a musical.
It's actually a fairly common thing with gacha musicals, because I mean, if you think about it, the gacha musicals, what they essentially were for quite some time is just a case of adding like an existing song, into a mini movie, and that was usually what constituted like a musical series or something, which is kind of essentially what the Music Freaks was, but just a lot more polished. But yeah, there's still some ways to go, which is why I say there's like do's and don'ts in that example too.
It's just, I like the Music Freaks, but part of my brain was like, something feels off. And then I was like, oh, some of these songs don't have adequate build-up. And the Music Freaks just tends to jump scare you with musical sequences.
I will say sometimes...
It's like Five Nights at Freddy's, but Freddy actually sings.
Yeah, I will say that sometimes that can work if it's like intentional, because have you seen the Blues Brothers?
Yes.
Yeah, so how like some of those songs, but particularly like the Aretha Franklin one, for example, where she's just like having a normal conversation, and then like randomly she starts, "You gotta think." Suddenly, it's like, where did that come from?
Sometimes scaring people with a musical number can be accurate. It's just particularly with Rosie Closey, it's just she can't decide which songs need build-up and which songs don't.
Yeah, the difference there is, of course, that Blues Brothers is a comedy, so you're kind of expecting... It's like it's part of the joke in some instances. But yeah. He's so much a Jack Skenton. He's his own boy. To be fair, Jake would totally be like watching a... Good grief. I honestly... When I saw Jake for the first... Sorry, yeah, your Jake for the first time, I actually... Because we're talking about music, I was like, wait a minute. No, when I saw, like... Ghost Girl Jake for the first time, I thought that the reason that he could see ghosts was because of the mask, like he was able to see through the mask. Then he said, like, no, it's just an aesthetic choice. It's like, oh, well, dang it. Okay, then.
I've stolen the face of my mentor, who is also the god of death for no reason.
Oh my goodness, he's working with a Shinigami.
Working with the Shinigami.
Are you sure you don't want any water?
I'm good, sir.
Call me Jay.
Okay. Jay. It feels weird. Can I stick with sir?
Like a creepy interaction between...
Yeah, typical interaction, that's true.
This feels like a creepy interaction between an adult and a minor.
Oh, well, I guess because we have like built up to that, like, yes, this is just Tari and Todd's dad, I'm pretty sure. I just realized something else. The way that we could fix the issue of like Franklin constantly looking at people's chins all the time, is that if he actually like takes like a is positioned further back so that you can like have plausible deniability. That's the thing that you used to have like in Gacha Life, because you couldn't rotate characters' heads. You had to like pretend they were looking at each other. So sometimes you'd be like, oh, but I go as far as proxemics go, you position them a bit further back so you can pretend they're looking at each other in that way.
Like, speaking of characters look at each other, this man looks like he's staring into the void.
Yeah, like again, everyone. Franklin looks at people's chins; they look at his forehead. It's an equal exchange there.
All right. Tari and her mum should be back home soon, so I should start on dinner.
Okay, Franklin.
His eyes
saunters off like.
Also, his eyes freak me out. Like, oh my goodness, Aidan, you couldn't have added any more movement to his eyes at all.
No, because the movement in the eyes is too complicated in Gacha Life 2, you see.
It was like...
that actually would also help Franklin. That's another suggestion I could have had was like changing his eye position rather than his head position. But then that is like almost the same problem, I suppose. Although Aidan did mention they didn't like adjusting characters' necks whenever their heads would rotate. So that could be a better method, actually, just to move the eyes. I'll have to run that one by him when he comes back. Or,
I don't know. It's just something about Gacha Life 2 and like the extended range of movement. Like sometimes you just gotta reference how a real person moves and then translate that into Gacha Life 2. Because I've seen people push the Gacha Life 2 movement a little too far and it ends up being creepy and uncanny.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons that there's so many times you get like live action references for animated characters. That's actually a huge part of particularly the Disney process of animation is getting live action references, or at least it was during the hand drawn days. I'm not sure about now. Maybe they kind of worked that out.
You got
Like,
this.
I think more people need to start doing that for like their gacha projects, because to be honest, when people unsuccessfully try animation without any existing reference, it can look a bit weird.
Oh, I'm just remembering like the Emily, do you remember like the olden days of Gacha animated videos before Gacha Club was a thing, when like almost every animation test someone do was the character doing this?
Yeah. I thought you were gonna reference the in the animation meme community head bopping. If you could make their head move up and down for 2 frames, God, you're a goddess, you're a queen, you're amazing, you're the best editor there ever is. Oh, you make their ears move like wolf ears, because we all had those back then. If you make them do a little curve down, Jesus, you are the Lord and Savior. Any other animation, you are the king. God.
I remember when Gacha Club came out, so many animators complained because then suddenly they were like the stuff that they were doing was then like available to like everyone. And I thought to myself, well, I mean, that's kind of a good thing in a sense, but yes, I can see why you would complain, but also, heaven forbid you'd actually have to try. No.
Damn it, now everyone can move their hair 3 frames. Cool animation.
Yeah, now everyone can move their hair back and forth. That was the thing that I was doing. And it actually is that they can control the speed, unlike when I do it, where it's like This is why I don't review animations or memes most of the time, because
what I'm hearing is that Guys, what I'm hearing is that a younger me would have killed in the Gacha animation meme community as a kid.
Yes, absolutely. You know what? I never did confirm where the Almas from. He could have gotten it from the very shady shop just called the Shady Shack, owned by Shady Shin from Legend of Korra.
Oh, I didn't know you were coming over.
Did her mouth open before she started speaking? Like, oh.
Well, I thought that we should talk.
Shouldn't you be with Ali?
In the past, I let
Jason.
Jason...
That like a question, like a
it's more like
question.
Shouldn't you be with Ali? Like a kind of like a jealous thing, was like, oh, should you be with your new friend or something? But again, it was phrased in much more like inquisitive. Where it's like, shouldn't you be like that's like?
Shouldn't you be with your new girlfriend,
Ali?
Mm-hmm.
And for you. I shouldn't be ditching people just because I find someone new. I'm sorry that I started to do that. I promise I'll never abandon you.
One thing I guess that Aidan probably could do if he wants to stick with the static mouths is that whenever a character pauses in a line, they will have their mouth will close because they're not speaking, rather than going like, well, you see, the thing about that is,
It's
I'm
like
not really sure what
logic
to do.
dictates that their mouth would close, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that. You know, though, you can be friends with Ali too. All I care about was not being replaced. She
Not
could
being
even join us
replaced?
Sunday
Yeah, she's a bit more unsure than I would have imagined in this scene, but yeah.
playing the new
I mean, in a way, it kind of works.
Why
Is
is
like,
she-
well, she probably hasn't like vocalized her emotions because obviously it was Todd who kind of put this together and not her.
Ultra Bash dude's game.
I'm sure she'd love that. She's pretty competitive.
Yeah, but I kick her butt every time.
Like,
You'd be
at
surprised
one
with
point,
how-
I get why she's unsure, but it also doesn't exactly come across correct. This could be my autism speaking, but I have no idea why she's insecure when she should be, upfront with her friend in this moment.
I think it's more of a case that she hasn't properly, but maybe she has registered it, but she hasn't been able to verbalize it as of yet. That I think she's kind of unsure of, like, well, is this right? Is this what I'm feeling? I mean, these are teenagers after all. They might not actually have all of the answers, even if they are perfectly capable of expressing them. That being said, my
Or
avatar.
maybe this was like I would give it the benefit of the doubt, but this kind of feels like a first take to me.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, because a lot of people when they do their first
Like
takes, they'll
Aidan
just
is
be
the specialty of using first takes.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, there's some people whenever they're like for some of the stuff that their only takes will sound like them reading from the script for the first time. Just why it's good to like. There's another good reason to do 3 takes for the record, because sometimes the first take is just unusable. I don't know if Aidan is just picking the first takes, or if the other 2 takes were just awful, or if there were indeed more takes than just this one, because that's something else to consider. So I don't know. Does the minimalism extend to the worst version of the line? I don't think so. I don't think he's compromised on the audio just yet. I could check that by just kind of guessing which takes of mine he would have accepted, because I think I still have the old recordings of all of them. But we'll see. That's speculation there.
Fast she learns.
We'll see.
You wanna play some new Superb Mario Siblings Us Luxurious?
Definitely.
That was a parody of New Super Mario Brothers Wii Deluxe, for the record.
Also, we should decide on a myth for a group project.
Superb.
In your
Yeah, well, yeah, Superb Mario Siblings Us Luxurious versus New Super Mario Brothers Wii Deluxe.
words, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, like
Me
this
too.
is a thing, but it sounds like he's talking to someone who's standing in a different room while he's standing right in front of her.
Maybe.
Again, stairs. My greatest of nemesis.
Oh, come on. Okay, right.
I would
So
sure
this-
love to
this
see
is a
those
joke.
stairs.
Yes, exactly. This joke, I'm pretty sure, was that the pair of them were going to go. Like, let's say, okay, we're going to go play the game. Franklin's room happens to be upstairs, even though that's probably a terrible position for his room to be in. But again, he didn't always have the wheelchair.
Isn't
so
this
he probably hasn't moved in
Tari
yet.
and
Oh, yeah, it's Tari and Todd's house. Yeah, sorry, never mind. So that's why they don't have that. So Tari obviously goes up, she leads the way, and then Franklin was supposed to pause for a moment at a staircase and go, "We meet again, stairs, my greatest nemesis." And I think Tari was supposed to like carry him. You know what? I'm gonna pull up the script. I'm gonna do it. I haven't done this for a while in video, but I'm gonna do it.
But that makes me ask the question: why not move your son's room to a
No, that was my
downstairs
mistake.
space?
This isn't his
It's like
house. That's my mistake. This isn't his house. That was I misspoke there. Let's see. The many myths of Mrs. Dysart.
I
Here
was
we go.
about to say, do I need to lock up these parents for questionable misconduct?
Depends on how long he's been in the wheelchair, because we saw a shot of him standing. So if it's like recent, he could have just not moved yet. But if it's been a while, then you never know.
Oh, okay. So actually, in the script here, it actually does say Ty walks off and Franklin rolls after her, and then Franklin then off screen said meet against Desmond grows a nemesis. So I guess we did account for the fact this was not going to be a thing.
Yeah,
all right then. I guess
wheelchair movement with the character. I think the wheelchair movement with the character in it was hot enough for Aidan and his new minimalist style of whatever this is.
I mean, potentially, yeah, because I know he doesn't have I know for a fact he doesn't have any positions where like Franklin's like arms are up, for example, which is what he's going to need for this next scene. But I do recall that he says that he exports Franklin in the wheelchair separately before going in, so that most likely wouldn't have to be an issue. I guess you could do like a bump up and down potentially, but that's a lot of keyframes, I guess.
I'll drag you, you drama queen.
I know. We
need like a little bit like a bump or something.
Okay. Ready, sure? I'll put some in a container.
Oh yeah, sound of a person bumping up the stairs is what's in the script. Yeah, we should have had that. So there we go. That was episode 5, The Kronos Effect. Aidan's seemingly favorite episode thus far, and one that doesn't actually feature that much of Mrs. Dysart in, which kind of just goes to show that the students can carry the show mostly by themselves. Because if anything, it feels a little bit like but one of those like was one of those movies where the teacher is technically the main character, but you actually focus a lot more on the students and what they learn from the teacher, or sometimes do that in TV shows too. Girl Meets World being one of the recent examples I can think of. Not necessarily the best example, but a recent example. But yeah, I mean, again, I guess we sorry.
Like the best way I would explain Mrs. Dysart in general, this show in general, is that it's kind of an anthology, and I'm kind of digging the vibe, even if I am confused by some of Aidan's choices.
Yeah, well, since that's the thing, is what Aidan said towards the beginning, that even if the editing is questionable or the effects aren't decent, then people will still stick around because of the story, and that's harkens back to Mutant Girl season 1, which is obviously paying homage to in some cases, like with a couple of the callbacks here and there. So yeah, like this, it's not that is the saving grace of the show. I'm probably harsh on it because I know what Aidan's capable of, and I know how many corners he is intentionally cutting. And I have said in the past that when Gacha tubers cut too many corners deliberately, it does leave a sour taste in my mouth. But again, I get why he's doing it, and also it's not like everything is cut. He actually gave himself more of a headache this episode trying to get all the poses that he would need for future stuff, for the sake of the having these in production down the line, than maybe met the eye. So that was a stray away from minimalism. But yeah, I like the moments in Gacha videos where there's like something that will elevate something on a technical level as well as a story one. But that being said, nothing wrong with the story. Well, I can't say anything wrong with the story really because I helped write it, so
Like, it also gives me a sour taste in my mouth when I know how many corners a creator is cutting for the sake of their work. It's just, this is like McDonald's to Fallen Angels Arby's burger.
Okay.
Essentially, there
that.
is a few more ingredients of similar quality, but one feels superior because there is, a little more effort put into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as long as Fournier's is still Aiden's primary show and still the one that he's using to elevate, this will ultimately not matter too much. It just again goes different to our different approaches to what minimalism ends up being. Whereas my one looks a lot like People Above, where I'm not doing everything that I normally do, but there's still a couple of key.
Yeah, there's still a couple of key Jacob-isms in there.
Yeah, just for good measure. So, but yeah, ultimately. And as far as what I was saying, is it this the strongest episode? I mean, I don't know, because the thing about about the episodes themselves that my proper issue with Mrs. Dysart is that is that the plot gets resolved at the speed of the average Pops video. Because one thing that's being cut down on is runtime as well, which again not necessarily bad if you want to get the episodes out, but it does mean that the bulk of the episode ends up being the parts that you can't cut out on, namely the mythology portions, which is why most of the time I end up writing most of the episode because I'm the one who knows the mythology stuff. Because obviously if you abridge that too much, then you don't get the full picture of what's being described. So yeah, apart from as far as the conflict resolution, because we could have had a couple of more bits of building up into how those things go. If I'd done this, maybe I would have had a little bit of a proper routine potentially that Franklin and Tari might have of their reunions. Maybe if I had a short, quick montage, but that's if I'm feeling very fancy in my minimalism. Just so it sets up a little bit more that's what's going to happen, rather than immediately. It's it technically still does work, but it's just more of a case you're easing yourself into it. You sort of see from every perspective well the problem is. It's that little bit extra that sometimes is missing here. But yeah, Jason Fox, I'm afraid, is going to stay a background character. Well, this is the thing. I mean, normally I would say yes to that question because he was just mentioned as, the anecdote and the catalyst.
Yes, except you're the writer, and there are future plans for the character.
No, I mean because I know that Aidan's the head writer, and usually whenever Aidan mentions a background character, or whenever there's a background that's involved or something, just as it gets talked about, they end up being put into the story later. Because that's happened to me a couple of times in Mutant Girl, where I've been I remember this person or something, someone randomly talked about something in the past, and the reference is the fact that it doesn't really matter who this person is. But then Aidan's no, we got to put them in the show now. It's
yeah,
okay.
When I was going through the first draft of the Monster Compendium script, and Aidan was "Oh, that cashier. Does he have a name?"
Well, I mean that's kind of different because that's just more of Aidan's obsession with giving characters names if they don't have other stuff.
No, it's just he wanted the cashier to become part of the narrative. He wanted me to recycle this character back into the narrative and show up as many times as possible, even though he literally isn't important.
He becomes the cabbage guy. My cash register! I don't know.
Sometimes having a character unnamed is funny for the memes, but please, if you have a background character, they can exist once.
Yeah. See the difference there with our attitude towards that and Aidan's is that Aidan likes to bring things back because to him that makes the world feel more cohesive. If you see background characters reoccurring, then it feels okay, this is a bit more thought out, a bit more realistic. You would see the same people a couple of times, every now and then. Whereas my approach is that some of that, but also for background characters or people who appear one-off, the more of those that you have able to have, the bigger the world feels. It doesn't feel like you're just in like an isolated area. You know, kind of like the main setting of this being like the classroom. There's only like 5 students. Not unrealistic, but it does feel very small in comparison. To make the world feel bigger, you know, add some other people in the mix that don't, you know, so they have to recycle, but you know, people are aware exist. There's other stuff going on in this particular world. I mean, other fact that it's the Butterverse, people already know that anyway, but still.
Sometimes I think about, you know, Monster Compendium, and every time I'm writing a subsequential background character that has no bearing on the narrative, I constantly think of Aidan like, oh, we must recycle this character as many times as possible.
So Aidan's a voice in someone's head as well. I'm kind of not the only one.
And every time I'm like, no, Aidan, not every character I introduce is important to the narrative.
I think Emily actually also said that like Aidan and I are both like voices in her head, but we're like conflicting voices. So we're like the internal. We personify the internal debate inside Emily sometimes.
It's like having a devil and an angel on my shoulder, except they both have the same goal, except they do it in completely different ways, and they're both yelling at me. It's very weird.
I don't have an angel or devil. I just have a goblin, and then both Jacob and Aidan trying to hold it down from deleting all of my Monster Compendium progress for a second time.
There you go. See, it's like see, Ed and I can unite against a common enemy for sure. but then if left to our own devices, we will debate amongst ourselves. Well, you know what? Fair enough. And that will probably continue for the rest of this series. I say probably will because we've already written like a bunch of episodes after this.
Like, speaking of, Aidan says to have someone look over my scripts, and I say to him, oh boy, you just opened the floodgates.
I mean, I did look over another version of Monster Compendium that one time. But I mean, given the like audio and in like animation process, it's kind of a bit too late for that. So you know.
Yes, I remember. Also for the book. Every time I reach that part of the stream, I'm like, yes, I have an editor. I have Ari as an editor, who I showed the script before I gave it to you. How did neither of us catch that? How did neither of us catch that?
I'm used to proofreading by this point. If it counts with script from Madame Purple, I have seen Madame Tosbury's therapist. I do plan for him, the therapist, to reappear. I mean, that does, and of all characters to choose to reappear, the therapist makes a lot of sense because Adam from Adam Co. Purple in any reality would definitely require one on a regular basis. So yeah, of course.
I don't even know why the therapist in the original Adam Code Purple just kind of disappeared and faded into the aether.
Because that's when all the demons showed up. Was that the version where Adam hangs himself? I forget if it was like the original or the remastered. I think it was the remastered.
Adam hangs himself in both, just at different points of the story.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what you guys are talking about, but it sounds great.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Adam Co. Purple is a treasure.
No, it's not great. It's not a treasure. I was about to say I wish it would stop existing, but technically it doesn't anymore.
Yeah, I like how it was brought to our attention for the sake of because there was like gonna be like another version after that, a new remastered one, I think, with like custom art rather than gacha, and it just wanted Brenjitsu wanted some helpful input. Yeah, exactly. Which now that I say that reminds me of a meme that Emily made today that I have now got an excuse to put on the screen. If I can find it. Ah, yes, here it is. All right. Hopefully people have seen what this is based on, because otherwise this will make no sense. Oh, right. Damn it, there's a web file. Need to convert it to PNG first.
I want to say my thoughts on the episode while you do that.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
It personally, for me, is my least favorite. Not because of the story or anything. I just think the production quality and more specifically Tari's voice acting. Some choices are not ones I personally understand. You know, it's just not production wise for me. Story, great. Quite a lot of the voice acting, great. I personally love saying the line, so like she gave birth to a horse. But you know,
if I didn't know the mythology, that out of context would be really odd.
which is funny because I didn't know the mythology, and Aidan sent me that line to record out of context without the script. He went,
Wait,
"Hey, can you record this line?" Well, it was one line.
Okay.
I have access to the script. I'm pretty sure it was he just sent me the line. I recorded it from Discord. So it was just, "Hey, can you record the line?" Quotes. Hey, so like she gave birth to a horse. This is a great moment to join. But yeah, production wise, look wise, and some of the voice acting wise, it's just my least favorite.
Okay. Aidan's favorite is your least favorite. Actually, that checks out for you, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Here we go. Here is the meme. Here's the meme that Emily made.
Just
Again,
do what they
know
ask you to do. Please refuse to do anything. You get what you can on Gacha Review.
AKA honesty. Yeah. So this is like from a Try Not to Laugh Smosh video where originally it was just like the same person was just standing there and Angela decides to like go crazy. So it was Shane in character just standing there for like a reoccurring bit. She just goes crazy and then they do like a whole thing there. Like we're impressed by man just standing there. The police refuse to do anything because he's technically not doing anything. Something like that. And yeah, because I was saying before, you know, people do sometimes request reviews and then complain when they get reviews. It happens more often than one might think. But anyway, mine was still depressed, but I feel kind of icky writing him bye-bye. Well, I mean, you don't have to have that be the cat necessarily. You know, he could end up meeting
like he could
forgotten, like in a dream or something.
Yeah, he like technically in like the original Adam Code Purple, Adam committed bye-bye and then met Sebastian. But in the second one, Adam Code Purple Remastered, Adam fell asleep in class and that's how he met Sebastian. And then he committed bye-bye because he decided randomly that he couldn't take it anymore.
We're not gonna take it. We're not gonna take it.
He was warned that someone is coming after his life, so he was like, okay, I'm just gonna take it myself.
I'm not gonna give them the satisfaction. Okay.
Yeah, definitely gonna go include that. I'm gonna have Adam meet Sebastian through his dreams. Like, my Adam is still depressed, but I kind of feel icky about him committing bye-bye. Well, Ghost Kitty, it's nice to know that you have more reservations than the original writer of Adam Code Purple.
Yeah, that's another classic Gacha thing is the characters that are just like the very extremes of depressed. Not to say that one shouldn't write for those characters, but the way that GachaTubers went about it, especially back in the day, was probably not the way that's not the correct approach, let's say.
Like, I remember that me and Aidan, I almost called him Adam. Why do all of your protagonists have A names? Anyway, I remember like me and Aidan had a good laugh at that. And Jacob didn't like the two people who are actively suicidal found the suicide scene to be an absolute crack up.
I guess that's an indication. Maybe the depressing gacha characters of old were meant to be works of comedic genius that I just overlooked. I highly doubt it, but maybe.
Nope, just works of comedic experience that, works of comedic genius that you don't have the experience to find absolutely funny.
Well, there we go. I guess that's not such a bad thing in this context. Anyway, Emily, you were going to say something?
Just the extreme forms of depressed, and how emo this community was in 2019. 2019, end of 2018. For some reason, all of them turned emo. And I wish this was a joke, but when you go and look at GLM music videos, if you compare 2018, 2017, where you have things like Saints, happy-go-lucky, angel, devil, SLUT, for example, ODD, like all of these happy-go-lucky songs, the characters get good endings. You compare that to 2019, where the songs were Hold On, Baby Don't Cut, Sarcasm, which are all songs, Maya, all about suicide, self-harm, any sort of mental health illness, empty. Was it Unstoppable? So many of them. Actually, For the Love of a Daughter, all abuse, serious topics, all of them, and they all end with death. Characters hurting themselves, like every one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, they turned her emo, and it's South Park. That's from.
Oh, okay.
Oh no,
that makes a lot of sense.
They made her emo. But, they all just turned... They just all became depressed at one point. So they switched from happy-go-lucky music videos to whatever the hell that phase was.
Yeah. See, another subversion that Mutant Girl was actually addressing that, there was... that Morwenna had a lot of trials and tribulations in her life and a lot of stuff that would cause somebody, to become depressed, or could cause somebody to become depressed. But the thing is, she had enough positive influences in her life and enough a positive outlook that never got tarnished by that, in order to actually bring herself out of the situations and actually have some victories as well as some low moments, have a bit of variety. And of course, now that's the norm. As well, there's other things that Mutant Girl was doing that was a subversion back in the day, but now it's just completely average. That's and again, much like with the animators of old, I could complain about the evolution there, but quite frankly, it's good that that's become the norm. So, not an issue. Okay, I think that's a good place to stop. Give another 20 seconds so we reach the 2-hour mark. But
Let's
but
stop
yeah.
here so we can make BB angry.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, please leave a like just so we go past that. That's already on that. So bye, fine, farewell.